Thank you for that, Sabrina. Good morning, Ms. Brandstetter.
Good morning, Your Honor.
We have two cases for you. Case number 2025-6352 is a charge where there's an obstructing government operations charge, camping or lodging on property without consent of the owner, and having a prohibited item, which is a tent or a net. And then case number 2025-4821 has just an obstructing government operations charge. So those are the two charges that are pending. Sebastian, do you have any update on where Ms. Brandstetter is with respect to her circumstances?
Yes, Your Honor. I did mention to Ms. Brandstetter about the deferred judgment program that city attorneys sometimes offer for these kinds of charges, and she did express interest in chatting with them.
Okay, so Ms. Huff, is that something that you can have a conversation with Ms. Brandstetter about?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Brandstetter, we'll have you meet with Ms. Huff, and then after you've had the conversation with her, we'll have you back in the courtroom.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Bottenfield. We have one charge for you. It's a charge of having an aggressive animal, which is prohibited by section 6120 of the Boulder Revised Code. This allegedly occurred on October 22nd of 2025 at the 5800 block of South Orchard Creek Circle. Let me tell you just a little bit about aggressive animal cases in particular. If someone decides to plead guilty to one of those charges, then we don't do sentencing right away. We reschedule the case for sentencing on another date. And between now and that sentencing date, that person would be expected to have an evaluation of their dog, either by the Boulder Valley Humane Society or one of the other agencies that's on our list. And then when you come back for sentencing, we'd be looking at that evaluation report to determine what type of sentence conditions might be imposed. You haven't pled guilty to anything. I just wanted to make sure that you understood what would happen if you did decide to plead guilty. You do have the option today of speaking with a prosecutor about your case. So you could have a conversation with one of them. You could continue the case over if you needed to hire counsel or think about your options further. You could plead guilty to the charge, or you could set the case over for trial. How would you like to proceed this morning?
Well, it's a cat. Did you know?
Oh, I didn't realize this was a cat. I'm in the mood of thinking about dogs, but the ordinance does apply to both dogs and cats. We don't always have an evaluation of a cat, but sometimes that occurs as well at the Humane Society. It might make sense to have a conversation with the prosecutor so you have an idea of, you could share a little bit about the circumstances of this case with them and see if there's a resolution that you could reach.
Okay. And how do I do that? To speak with the prosecutor?
Yeah, there's just to your left, there's a list, that white sheet of paper right there. You'll be first on the list if you'll just put your name there.
Okay.
And then as soon as they're done speaking to the other people that they're out speaking with, they'll call your case up and you can have a conversation with one of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Mr. Valente, I have one charge for you. It's a charge of having a vehicle, which is a bicycle in this particular circumstance, on property where it was not permitted, which is a violation of section 836 of the Boulder Revised Code. This allegedly occurred at the Chautauqua Trailhead. So that's the charge for you. It looks like there is an offer in the file for what's called a deferred prosecution. So let me tell you a little bit about what that is. A deferred prosecution offer from the prosecutor means they're not asking you to plead guilty to the charge. They're wanting you to agree to have the case remain open for 3 months. In that 3-month period, you're not allowed to have any other charges of a similar nature, and you'd be expected to write a 200-word essay detailing what you've learned from this experience. There's a $100 fee associated with the deferred prosecution, but the good news of that is if you satisfy the condition of writing the essay and not having any other charges, at the end of 3 months, the case is dismissed and then your record would be sealed for the charge. So that's an option for you. You could also speak with the prosecutor if you'd like today, or plead not guilty and set the case for trial. What would you like to do? You want to accept the offer from them? All right. So this does not require, as I mentioned, does not require a guilty plea. It just requires that you agree to keep the case open for 3 months and pay that $100 deferred prosecution fee. And then we'll have you write that essay. Once that essay has been submitted, it'll be evaluated by one of our staff members. I would encourage you to do that on your own. If you use one of the like ChatGPT or any type of artificial intelligence, just make sure that you reference that in the essay and don't use it entirely, because we do have mechanisms to check that, just like they do at the university to some extent. So just be thoughtful about what you put into the essay. At the end of the 3-month period, we're going to dismiss the case. Any questions for me?
Oh, no questions.
Okay. Our next step then is to send you back to meet with our probation staff. You're not on probation, but they're going to be monitoring your case and making sure that the case gets dismissed and that your essay gets submitted timely. So you'll make 2 rights as you exit the courtroom and then a left to the end of the hallway. And then one of our probation staff members will be with you in a few minutes. Thank you. Some type of item on open space in mountain parks, which is prohibited by section 833 of the Boulder Revised Code. There's an option for you today to speak with a prosecutor if you'd like. You could have a conversation to see if you can work out an agreement with one of them. That's an option. You could plead not guilty and set for trial, or you could plead guilty to the charge.
I'm going to plead not guilty.
All right.
It was a landing out of necessity.
All right.
I was flying a paraglider. My flight plan was from Golden. I launched from Golden Lookout. I flew all the way to Boulder, and my plan was to fly back to Lookout. I was making good progress, and when I was overflying El Dorado Springs Canyon, I couldn't find any more lift. Conditions had changed at that point. And I assessed my landing options at that time. There were really no legal landing options available. The legal landing options would be in North Boulder Park, which I didn't have on glide. That was just around the ridge height. The other legal landing option would be Coal Creek Canyon, which is also not on glide for me. So I had to make a choice where to put it down. And the open space, that's where I landed. It was open. There was no people, no wildlife, and I was able to make it happen on the trail. The other option there would be a road with power lines and cars, which is not really safe. So I decided to put it down over there out of necessity. It was not part of my plan to land over there.
Okay. Let me suggest that you at least have a conversation with the prosecutors. It doesn't hurt to have a conversation, see what you can work out with them. There is a statute that applies for necessity. There's some requirements that a judge would ultimately at the end of a trial have to determine whether this was a legal necessity, but you could discuss that with them and see if you can work out an agreement to resolve the case with them. If you don't mind then just putting your name on, I think you'd be second on that list to see a prosecutor, and then they'll call you up in just a few minutes, Mr. Nathan. Good morning, Mr. Weir. Mr. Weir, I have one charge for you. It's a charge of trespassing on public property, which is a violation of section 546 of the Boulder Revised Code. This allegedly occurred on November 2nd of 2025. A couple of different ways to proceed on this charge. You could speak with the prosecutor if you'd like to have a discussion with them to see if there's an agreement that you could reach to resolve the case. You could plead not guilty and set the case for trial, or you could plead guilty to the charge. How would you like to proceed today?
Yes, I plead guilty to it.
Let me just take a quick look at the notes here. Okay, and you certainly have the right to plead guilty. Is that what you wanted to do that? When you do plead guilty, you're giving up your right to trial on that charge. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you doing that voluntarily today?
Yes.
Is anybody forcing you to plead guilty? Are you under the influence of any medications or drugs or alcohol today? Do you understand this charge of trespassing on public property?
Yes.
And do you agree that there's evidence to support that charge?
Yeah.
You are doing this without the benefit of a lawyer to assist you. Are you comfortable going forward without the benefit of a lawyer?
Yes.
And do you understand that a lawyer might do a better job of representing you than you do representing yourself?
Yes.
Did you graduate high school or obtain a GED? All right. I am going to find that it's a free and voluntary decision to plead guilty. It is to the charge of trespassing on public property in violation of section 546 of the Boulder Revised Code, occurring on November 2nd of 2025 at 3141 28th Street. How do you plead to that charge? I'll accept the guilty plea. I glanced at the notes, but I'll take a deeper read here of what they said here. Basically just says that you didn't leave a business when you were asked to leave that business. Anything else that you wanted to share about the case before I impose the sentence?
Yeah. Circumstances is unfortunate. The gentleman who asked me to leave, actually, I felt like I was assaulted. And then I kind of was curious about why he was asking me to leave. I was caught off guard. It wasn't provoked. And he pushed me, threw me on the floor. I hit a table, so I was a little upset. And then he decided to call the cops, and then that's when the police pulled up, and that's when I got the trespassing charge. But I was adamant about them checking the cameras, and because I felt like the situation was unprovoked and unfair. unjust.
And did they check those cameras that they had, or did you don't know?
Couldn't.
I see.
So, business, the establishment, I then stated that apparently the establishment has more credit than the person, and they said, yeah, sorry. That's all right. They said, hey, you're getting off easy, and they just gave me a trespass.
Okay,
But I was pretty upset about it.
okay. The report's much shorter than that, and it really didn't describe much more than that basically said that you were asked to leave and didn't leave. There wasn't much more on the back of the ticket than that. There was some reference to the camera conversation that you had as well. But you don't have any prior history in our court. And so I'm going to take that into account in deciding what consequence to impose. In this case, I'm simply going to impose a $125 fine, and there are $30 in court costs. You'll have $155 to pay the court. Are you able to pay that today? All right. You can. Can you pay anything today? What do you think you could pay today? Okay. We'll have you pay the $30 court costs. If I give you a month to pay the balance, will that be enough time? Okay. And I'll waive the stay fee just for the record there. All right, so I'm going to send you out front. And so you're just going to to the Violations Bureau window where you checked in earlier. They'll collect that $30 payment. They're going to give you a court date, which is a pay or appear date. As long as you've paid the balance by that date, you don't have to come back to court. And you can either go online or call a staff member to pay over the phone. All right, thank you. Right up front. Have a good day, sir. I see two of you up here.
That's my daughter.
That's your daughter. Okay. And you are Miss Macias Arellano?
Yes.
All right, good morning to you. Taking a quick look at the summons here. All right, there is one charge of having needing a dog license. That's one charge that's pending here. And then the other charge is failing to have a rabies vaccination for your dog. There was a dog at large warning. There was no summons or charge issued for that. So those are the two charges that are pending. Let me tell you how we approach those two charges. With dog license charges, if you actually have the license or have secured the license, that charge can be dismissed. With the rabies vaccination, if you have the current rabies vaccination, we reduce the fine. So that's how the court operates with that. But you can also have a conversation with the prosecutor if you'd like. And I can see your daughter may have some documentation there. Is there something that you wanted to share with us?
It's just the vaccination certificate for her rape.
Okay, and do you have the dog license as well?
We just got it yesterday.
Okay.
I have proofs on my phone because they're not going to send the paper until a week or 2 weeks.
If you have the proof on your phone that you've got secured that, so why don't you both come forward? I'll look at both of those documents. We'll probably put the rabies documentation in the file. Thank you. And I'm going to just have our clerk scan this document, and we'll give you back the tag and the document itself. And then this is the dog license application. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, Sabrina, we'll get that scanned and we'll give it right back to you. Thank you. So, Ms. Macias Arellano, as I mentioned, what we're going to do is on the dog license charge, which is count 1, that's going to be dismissed with proof of that you've applied for that license. And then the rabies vaccination charge, if you decide to plead guilty, normally my fine is, I believe, 45. Someone, can you remind me what that is? I'll cut that in half. I remember it's 45 or 60. It might be 60.
For which one?
Rabies vaccination. And that is 613. I think that's the bond amount. So we must not have a mail-in amount.
Fine amount, not bond amount. Let's double check.
Yeah, that's clearly not what I. Is 60.
Is that $60?
Yeah. Okay, so what I would do on the rabies vaccination charge is make the fine $30, and there'd be 30 in court costs. So you'd have $60 to pay if you decided to plead guilty to that charge.
Yeah.
Is that what you'd like to do? All right, let me go ahead and accept that plea. This is the charge of failing to have a rabies vaccination for your animal, which is a violation of section 613 of the Boulder Revised Code. And that allegedly occurred on October 29th of 2025 at 5000 Butte Road or Butte Drive. How do you plead to that charge? I'll accept that guilty plea. Anything else that you'd like to share with me?
No.
Okay, Like I said, I'll cut the fine in half on count two. It's a $30 fine. There's 30 in court costs. So a total of $60 to pay. Are you able to pay that today?
No, not today.
Okay, if we give you a couple of weeks, would that be enough time? Yeah. Okay, so we'll waive the stay fee. We'll give you a court date that's 2 to 3 weeks out. You will not have to come back to court as long as you've paid the balance by that date. And so, and the staff out front will give you that date and they'll give you the ways that you can pay the balance. All right, thank you for appearing, Ms. Macias Ariana. Thank you. And Mr. Martindale, I have one charge for you. It's a charge of obstructing a peace officer, a violation of section 553 of the Boulder Revised Code. This allegedly occurred October 31st of 2025 at 28th and Iris. I do not have an offer from the prosecutors in the file. Doesn't mean they can't make an offer to you. They would need to speak with you before they could do that. If you'd like to have a conversation, that's a possibility this morning. You want to do that?
Yeah.
So if you'll put your name on that list, they will call you up as soon as they're able to do so.
Sorry to say it, Your Honor.
That's okay. We've got you here. I'm glad you're here. I have, looks like several cases open.
I believe he added on the most recent ones too, right? Is that correct?
I believe so. I've got, let's see, the most recent case would be 2025. I think it's 6133. So let me just tell you the date of that alleged violation.
Should be a prohibited items, I believe.
And an obstructing government operations charge on that summons. Let me just take a quick look at,
Oh, he didn't tell me that, but he did tell me prohibited items. He never said to me.
let me see if it's the one, we're talking about the same one. So let me just take a look at what we've got.
I think it would have been last week.
Okay, I'm going to pull summons up and tell you what date it was issued.
6133.
Yeah, I've got it up. So this was issued on October 29th. So that was about 3 weeks ago is the one that we have. Now, you may have received one that hasn't made it to our system yet. You know, the officers write the ticket and then it goes to a sergeant. They have to review it to make sure that everything's accurate. And then it gets sent over to us. So it's possible that you got one more recently that isn't in our system. I'll take one more look. Let's take a look at 5967 and see when that one was issued, even though
About 1 or 2 weeks ago. It should be in by now.
this one was 3 weeks ago. Let me tell you where it was at.
Running a little slow. I know where it was at. Same place.
Where was it? Where was your memory?
The tunnels. Up by Harvest.
Harvest of Hope?
Right.
4830 Pearl Street?
Right.
Okay. So there was a prohibited items charge and an obstructing government operations charge. It was Officer Buck that issued the ticket. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, but not the most recent one.
Not the most recent one. So the most recent one that I'm looking at was October 29th. Oh, here's one from November 12th. Okay.
There we go.
And that was issued, same basic location. It was Officer Logue that issued that ticket.
Right.
Okay.
That one.
So we have them all.
Okay.
So there are 4 that we have open for you.
These might be sugar. Well,
All right. I think the best approach here would be to have you have a meeting with the prosecutor. Does that make sense to have a conversation with one of them about these? And you could talk to Sebastian first if you'd like to, and he can kind of fill you in on what he knows about their process. Certain charges are eligible for the automatic work that you can do with the navigator, and certain charges are not. Some of them, the prosecutors have to have a conversation either with you or with Sebastian before they can make an offer. I think you may already be on a deferred judgment for one, so you may be familiar with what they've done in the past. But I think they would have to have a conversation with you about these new charges.
I just wanted to let you know really quick, my phone, the reason why I haven't been able to get a hold of them or anything, or anybody really, my phone literally like was sitting there, like, and then I picked it up to check my messages, and it was a white screen, and at the top, okay, so it goes white when it powers on. At the top of it, it was the power up screen. At the top of it, it said virus detected, and then press power key to continue. Press power key, nothing happened except for it kept turning on and turning off and turning on and turning off. So I literally, like, I even tried the extra menu to like reset the whole phone and then maybe log in again and forget all the pictures and all that. Unfortunately, and that didn't even work. So now I'm just waiting on Xander to get me another phone.
Who's doing that for you?
Xander is going to try and put me on the same line.
Okay. You always say Xander, and I have to think that's Alexander.
Alexander.
That's Alexander in my mind, but I understand I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. hopefully he'll be able to get one for you, because I know how much people rely on their phones, especially if you don't have access to a computer or any other way to communicate. So,
Right. And the fact that he doesn't really have much people's, he has a phone, but he doesn't give people his number. So I'm just like doing all the resources and stuff for both of us, so.
okay. Okay, well, I think the best step would probably be have you have a seat, and when Sebastian's got a minute, he could talk to you, kind of get a sense of where things are, and then you all can have a follow-up conversation with prosecutors. Does that make sense to both of you?
Thank you.
Okay.
I also want to thank you for your understanding and leniency on the whole me and Xander being all the way out there.
Yes.
Having to swap court dates.
No, I get
We
you.
can both attend without like.
Don't want you to lose your stuff. I know how.
Yeah.
That's right. So I'm happy to accommodate to the extent we can. It seems like it's working.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.